Hello, good morning and welcome to the virtual village hall. I hope you're really well today. I'm Rachel from iPrintedThat and I've got a great little printmaking activity for you. We're going to be making these clear plastic stamps which print like this. So it's nice and quick. It's not super easy, I'll be honest with you, but with a little bit of practice and I'll give you a few little hints and tips, I'm sure you're going to be okay. So if you like craft, then I'm sure you're going to love this. So I'm going to go through exactly what you need to use, then I'm going to pop you down and we can get started. So we start off with a design and I'm going to be drawing that just onto plain paper. I've also got a pencil and a Sharpie, and I'll explain why I'm suggesting using a Sharpie today. I've got some very thin plastic, clear plastic. So I like acetate. I wouldn't go any thinner than that. So acetate's great for this. I've also got my glue gun. It's just a very cheap and cheerful one. My glue sticks. I've got an ink pad. And I've also got some fabric, just cotton fabric to print onto. So are you ready? Okay, I'm going to put you down and I'll show you exactly how it's done. So let's start with our design. We want to make sure that it's no bigger than the piece of acetate. So I'll just draw around that to give me an idea. So I'm going to go for a rose design. So I'm just going to start by adding the petals. And you want to make sure there's quite a bit of distance between each line. We're going for simplified rather than a lot of detail with our drawings, because that just makes it a lot easier for our final prints when we have to apply the glue. Then I'm going to go over it with a Sharpie pen. So this is why I ask you to use a Sharpie pen, because the image that goes onto our acetate needs to be in reverse. This is especially important if you're using, if you're going to be doing text for this, which I'll show you a little bit later as well. So I've used a Sharpie pen so that it goes through to the other side and you haven't got to do any tracing or transferring. You've just got your image back to front, all ready to go. So I'm going to put my glue gun on now, get that warming up. So if you're watching live today, please do remember to pop in the comments and say hi. If you've just joined us, then we are making these clear plastic stamps which print like this. So you can make any design you want, really. Keep it fairly simple. So let it warm up a bit more. And don't forget, you can always watch this video again. It stays on the Virtual Village Hall Facebook page indefinitely, I'm going to say. So you can always come back and watch it. You can also save the video if you haven't got time to do this now and you want to come back to it. Just going to let this warm up a little bit more. Don't forget to share it as well to any friends who you think would find this useful, or any craft groups that you're in. There you go, just going to get this going. Okay, right, so my glue gun has warmed up. Just going to make sure I'm going to have a good supply of glue because I don't want to be caught short. There we go. So you might want to have a little bit of a practice first. So before you start, I'll just give you a few tips. So work fairly quickly. You don't really want, you're laying the glue on rather than sort of touching the plastic with the, I'm going to call it a nib, the nib of the glue gun. So you're kind of just squeezing, going around all those lines. As you come to an end, just hold off, just hold on for a moment, just let the glue fall and take it off. Don't worry about all these little sort of spindly bits because we can just take those off once the glue is dry. And then just work nice and methodically. Again, I've come to an end, so I'm just going to wait a moment, let the glue settle and take the end off. Round again. Whoop. My hand always shakes when I do this. There we go. So you really start feeling the pressure. Oh, I've left one in the middle, that's a bit silly. It's fine. And notice that I'm leaving space between all these because obviously if you were to match all the lines up when it prints, all you'd get is just a solid block. Okay, just one more on the flower. So around to the side, come to that end, let the glue settle and just lift it up. So onto the leaves. So, and then that other leaf. I'm just coming to the end of the glue stick. There we go, well timed. Turn my glue gun off. Okay, that needs to dry just for a couple of minutes, and then we can take all these spindly bits off and then we can print. But in the meantime, I just want to show you what I mean by doing your text back to front. So this is a stamp. I'll put it on here, you might be able to see it a bit better. Okay, so this is a stamp that I did earlier. So I drew my R, my letter R, onto a piece of paper with a Sharpie, flipped it over, and then I just went over with the glue gun exactly like I showed you with the rose, but it has to be in reverse. And I'll show you how that now prints. So I'll go over this again anyway, but I'm just going to use the ink pad stamp, the ink pad for stamps, and I'm just pressing fairly firmly, making sure that the ink is applied to all of where the glue is. That's all dry and set. Okay. And then I take a piece of fabric. So if you want, you can clean up all around those edges just with a cotton bud, but I'm just going to go straight in with my one. And then I'm just going to use my fingers to make contact with the fabric. and all the glue lines and that ink. And you'll see it start coming through, so you know exactly where you've been, which is quite handy. And hey presto, there's your print the right way round. So that's why it's really important to do that Sharpie technique and to make sure that your initials, any typography you're doing, is in the reverse on your stamp. So our rose should be ready by now, should be dry. Let's just have a check. Yep, that's dry enough. So all I'm going to do is just take off those spindly bits of glue. Go. I'll do a test print. If there's any more I need to take off, then I can. That's good. They might actually be a little bit high though, so I might have to cut those down, but we'll see. I'll do a test print and find out what it looks like. So again, I'm going to take my ink pad for stamps and then just press nice and hard, as firmly, to cover all the glue lines with ink. A few more. That's it. Take my fabric, lay it on top, and like I did with my initial, just go all over with your fingers, making contact with the fabric and the ink. Again, if you wanted to clean up all the area around, you can. But I quite enjoy what we call, not in the sort of printmaking world, we call that noise, or the background bit, and I think it adds to a handmade print. There we go, and there's our print all done. So I'm suggesting to print onto fabric, that's because the glue dries fairly hard, and I'll show you how it prints onto paper. You might like it, but you get a much more of a finer line. But you might be thinking, oh well, what's the point of printing onto fabric if it's just with an ink pad? You know, you can't wash it or anything. Well, what you can do, if you cut these out, you can put them, you can sew them or stick them onto gift tags, which look really nice, make them up into cards. So they've definitely got their uses. You can even frame them. So I'll just show you now. I'll show you two ways. So I'll show you first if you just lay the ink pad down. And this is just printing onto paper. So you can see it's a much more of a subtle, and actually with that one I would have to take off quite a bit of that. I might show you actually better with the original one that I did. I'll just quickly do this one for you again. So this one's a lot smoother. And if I was going to print onto paper, I'd go back into that one and take some of those high spots off. Just with a sharp pair of scissors or maybe a craft knife. So let's try this one again. So you can do it just face down, and also I'll show you how you can do it like we did with the fabric, where we lay the paper on top. So again, it's very, very subtle. I'll show you with the paper on top, which I must admit you do get a slightly better result. But I just wanted to sort of show you why I'm suggesting printing onto fabric. There we go. So it's there we go. So that's the difference. I'll show you then. That's the difference between printing onto the fabric, printing onto paper with your stamp face down, and then printing onto paper where you cover the stamp with the paper. So just some ideas for you to try out. You don't have to stick to just one colour, stick to black. Once you've finished printing, wash this off, make sure it's totally dry, and then you can go in and print again. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope that's inspired you to have a go at printmaking. It just goes to show that there are just a few items that you might have at home already in your craft cupboards, just lying around, that you can use to do some printing. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. Take care.